Hello and welcome to Dojo Live this Thursday, May 30th, 2024 for the fourth episode of our The Hospitality Advantage, Real Stories of AI in Action series. My name is Kim Lantis and joining me today is David Chestler, President of Provision Partners.
Hi, Kim.
Hello, as well as Manuel Cubillo, who is the Global VP of Cloud Services at Encora. So Manuel, thank you for joining David and I on the conversation.
Thanks again. How are you? Hi, Dave. Very happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Now, a little disclaimer for our audience. David, like as he mentioned, is the ark is coming down. We're loading up the animals located in Texas. So if he drops out in our conversation, everyone, you know why. Hopefully that's not the case. And David, of course, we wish you the best of luck with the weather that's coming through.
Thank you.
Yes. So real quick, this highlight of what we're doing or what we've done up to this fourth episode in this series. We've really kind of covered how the second episode was all about data, right? And how the willingness and the ability for organizations to data share across their disparate systems would enable, what was that? The minimization of spend. We also talked about maximization of revenue, enhancement of the guest experience, which then led us into that third episode with Martin Chevrolet of Inspire. And that was the convergence of the front house and the back of house and their technology, how that's going to enhance collaboration, communication, and of course also the guest experience, which is what we're all about here in hospitality. You can check out those shows at our website, dojo.live. But today we're going to be talking about the critical role of data and cloud infrastructure, what they play in the successful deployment of AI in the hospitality industry. But before we get to that, Manuel, we would like to set the stage for our audience a bit to get to know you a bit better. If you could please share a bit of your story and your experience.
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me here. Manuel Cubillo. I'm actually based in San Jose, Costa Rica, in the middle of the tropics. I've been in the industry for over 20 years now. I've always been part of services or organizations, and I started my career actually in the quality assurance field. Along my career, I've been always very close to the agile software development cycle, working in very agile environments. And for the last 8 to 9 years, I've been focusing my career on the cloud space, very close to data and AI, because as we will discuss, they are tied together very closely. I've been working with organizations of all sizes, different industries. I'm basically developing and implementing modernization strategies around cloud, around DevOps, data, AI. So hopefully, today we can have a very good conversation around this.
Absolutely, and I think that we will. I mean, to get us started, David, how would you like to kick this off with Manuel? Are we going to talk about those key benefits of integrating AI into hospitality? Or
that's a perfect place. I think, knowing he's in Costa Rica, it's an ideal travel location, right, for leisure, especialmente. So the idea would be, how do you think about AI and travel? And from your perspective, we kind of established that data and cloud are critical components to moving any organization into the utilization of AI, any of the AIs, generative or conversational, etc. So I'd love your perspective, being in the beautiful location you are, the thoughts of AI and how that can impact travel and hospitality.
For sure. And yeah, actually Costa Rica, it's a very common destination for people in the US, for people from Europe. And, we have developed this tourism ecosystem here. And definitely when I think about travel and hospitality, I like to think it's all about user experience, right? When you are traveling, definitely you have a lot of planning to do. It's about buying tickets. It's about booking hotels, planning transportations, activities, and all that. And as a traveler, I am a traveler myself. And I always want that experience to be easy, of course. I want it to be, fast. Ideally, I don't want to spend a lot of time just planning and going through places and understanding how to book the best hotel or the best ticket. I would like that experience to consider my own travel style, because sometimes we travel with family, sometimes we travel alone, sometimes we travel for business. Depending on that specific travel style, you would like to get options, to get information to make it easy, right? and discovering that set of opportunities to get the most out of your money, that money that you are investing, is key. So definitely AI can make huge difference in all of that. When it comes to experience, AI is definitely a driver to get better experience, to accelerate the way that you get close to your advices, to your unique experience, right? And I think our organizations have been for years now have been gathering information, data about the users, but maybe not every organization is right now ready to leverage all that data to the extent so that they can create this wow experience. So yeah, definitely AI can be a huge difference.
Excellent. And when you encounter these organizations now coming in, is it, the transformation or a migration, a lift and shift that you're finding in order to get them ready? What are your early day encounters like?
There was this situation happening after the pandemic. I think before pandemic, many organizations were doing just day-to-day business. They were doing business as usual, and with the pandemic, they were facing a new challenge. They were not in front of their users anymore, so they needed to find a way to start having that interaction that they had sometimes face to face, now in a different way. So organizations started realizing the value of data, not that they didn't know before, but maybe they were seeing data in a different way. So after pandemic, there was a huge lift in the number of projects that started around building strong data practices, data governance practice, and how they could leverage all that. I think by now, organizations have done some good work on that piece, but they are understanding that now, in order to take data to the next stage, to take their data analysis practices to the next stage, they need to modernize. Modernization sometimes mean that you need to move to the cloud. Sometimes mean that even if you are on the cloud, but maybe you have been on the cloud since 10 years ago, maybe your architecture, your solution has not modernized on the cloud. So now they need to start thinking on what does it really mean to be on the cloud using the latest and the greatest of the cloud services, so that you can really explode your data, so that you can really get insights to impact the experience that you are providing to your users, those that are planning to do their next trip to somewhere, maybe Costa Rica.
Excellent. And how hard is it to get at that data? Because I remember, and we've talked about it on other shows, many of the CIO, CTO, CISO responsibilities were to lock down and protect that data. And because of the silos in our industry, making that, the Hive available and all of that accessible became a data governance issue, like we talked about, right? How are you seeing that impact of the contraction of protecting the data to now opening up and trying to free the data so that it can be used to find those anomalies or find those opportunities, needles in a haystack called revenue producers, right?
Yeah, I think there are multiple challenges when you start really gathering data. Number one challenge, before I get into the privacy and security, I think is especially for travel and hospitality, you get a lot of data from your users. That some data might be just transactional, right? When you book that flight, when you book that hotel room, you are already giving away some of your information, and so you know where you're planning to go, how many nights, who's this person, is traveling along or not. So there's a lot of information there. So the volume of the data is part of it. It's not only transactional; it might also come from your social media. After you deliver that experience, you're gonna get reviews, you are gonna get comments, you are gonna have blog posts talking about what you just did, right? So you, as a travel hospitality organization, you want to take all that information and somehow put it in a place where you can actually analyze it and get insights out of it, right? So that volume, it's one piece. Speed of information, it's also another important aspect, right? How quick you are getting information, how quick you can take that information and process it to get those insights, it's also crucial. And then it comes to security, right? Of course, you are getting a lot of personal information. In travel and hospitality, you deal with credit cards, you deal with passport numbers, IDs, many other things. And usually, you will need to comply to certain regular tourists from Europe. Then we have GDPR, and GDPR is going to set certain ground rules for you to handle that information. So organizations now need to start thinking not only on how to store the data, but also maybe where to store the data, because part of the regulation might have to do with localization of the information. You cannot store the information of your users in any country because there are limitations around that. And on top of the where, you need to think on how. So it's about encryption. It's about having that information in a place that you can have it, but also in a secure way, but also in a place that is nearby to the users that are going to access that information later, because otherwise you would be providing an experience that is maybe a slow loading kind of web page, and that is not a good experience for the user. So you need to start thinking in your data strategy in many different aspects, right? And of course, security is a big piece of it. Governance is a big piece of it. As you get more data, you get it faster. You need to make sure that you will be able to process all that information towards, again, creating a great experience, which is what travel and hospitality organizations are looking for.
True.
Is this where something like hybrid operations is coming in? My understanding is there's some of it is on site, some of it's in the cloud, or what? Am I mistaken in that regard?
No, not really. I mean, the hybrid operation term, it's coming from hybrid cloud, right? Sometimes when you need to start dealing with your data, you realize that for whatever reason, maybe compliance, you are forced to have certain pieces of the data on premise, but then you have your workload, your application running on the cloud. So you need to start finding ways to deploy this hybrid cloud solution in order to, one, be compliant, but two, be able to release all that data into actionable insights that you can present your users are as maybe advice, maybe as opportunities for having fun in that city that you're visiting, right? So I think hybrid cloud, it's definitely something that many organizations are evaluating right now. Now, when you start considering what's going to be your cloud take, you have the hybrid approach, you have the fully native cloud approach, and now you have also multi-cloud. So you have a lot to choose from, and I think every scenario, you have to go and evaluate what is it that you want to accomplish, what is best for your experience. Again, travel and hospitality, it's all about experience, but also from a technical and compliance perspective, you need to evaluate other things, right? So there's no like one size fits all kind of solution, and that's why your cloud adoption journey, it's not like a big bang project where you just migrate to the cloud. You need to really start thinking, okay, what is the next best move for me to improve my experience, the experience that I'm providing to my users, while I have still room to improve that experience through a modernization journey. So cloud is never a project. Cloud adoption is always a journey you embark into, and you keep developing that as we go, because cloud vendors keep delivering new services, especially in AI. I mean, the AI that I knew when I was a student in university, the AI that we have today, and the AI that we will have in maybe 6 months are completely different things, right?
That's incredible. Moving at a very fast pace. The development and the utilization of AI comes with a lot of planning, and it seems like there needs to be more of the IT governance across the organizational structure of hospitality and travel. That marketing needs to stay aware of what's happening and keep IT and the organization involved because of the criticality of all the data sharing. And it strikes me how many of the organizations are really in advance going through these planning stages that you're encountering, that have the foresight and vision to know how the IT organization needs to create the governance across the business. As that's one of the things that we advise of, in our businesses, that cross silo governance and the change management and similar. What are you finding as you're going into the market and dealing with these companies?
I think that is a different journey for everyone, right? But governance definitely is the center of it, because again, having data in the middle, you need to definitely govern that, and that has all these aspects that we mentioned already: security, compliance, being able to process big volumes of data. But then also it has to do with how you govern your whole IT operation, because if you are not on the cloud, you need to include into your planning how to get to the cloud in a proper way. And that is different for every organization, right? For some organizations, it might be super easy to get directly into native services, native cloud services, modern architectures. If you are in industries that have been running for maybe 20 years, chances are that you will have a lot of workloads that are legacy, and you cannot just get rid of them right away. You need to really think on how to modernize them. There's going to be dependencies on those things, and you need to plan differently for that, right? You need to ensure that you keep delivering the experience, delivering what you modernize without impacting users. So that's a different journey. And then governance around how you do modernization, it is different. It has to do with, for example, managing cost. You already invested into something. Now you need to start maybe introducing a FinOps mindset as part of your governance, so that you can align what you want to accomplish from a business perspective. I want to get to that wow experience for my users. What I want to accomplish from a technical perspective, which is modernizing, getting into more advanced services, introducing AI, but also align with my financial discipline, right? Because there are budgets, and there are deadlines, and there are outcomes that I need to put together. All those things need to speak to each other. They need to be aligned. Otherwise, that is a forecast for failure, because I mean, you would get into a very exciting technical journey that you cannot afford because of your budget, or you get into a technical journey where it's not delivering exactly what business is looking for. So that governance is key, alignment is key, and that comes with cloud enablement first, so that you can enable also your data strategies, because data, there is no AI project without data, and there is usually no data project without cloud.
Right. That was the original statement. That was great. And for smaller companies, we talked about it, partnering, right? Working with an Encora, working with a Provision is how you get the idea, vision, and even the practical development. But working with the large platform guys like Microsoft or OpenAI or Amazon, right, and the AWS, how are you finding that collaboration working for the ability to move faster into the marketplace?
We are at an amazing moment in the industry, I would say, for collaboration with vendors, because I mean, the industry is evolving as we speak. Every minute, every day, we get something new, and vendors, I think they are evolving themselves. I've had the chance to be in a few partner events in the last few weeks, and when I had conversations with the global owners of the operation pieces, the AI pieces, they are really trying to evolve the service offer that they have, so that that can match what organizations are looking for. So, for example, back in the day, they were offering mostly platforms to run your AI models, right? So when you go back and look, for example, AWS had SageMaker. That was for you to run your models, to fine tune them, to control them, right? But given the accelerated adoption that we're having now, even small companies, they really want to get into AI. And maybe for them, they need to fail fast. They need to really justify every dollar that they put on the table into an investment for doing something different. So they want to iterate quicker. I think vendors realized that a while ago, and now they are offering things that are easier to leverage. For example, we have Copilot, we have ChatGPT, you have Bedrock. Those are all services that are meant to materialize the experience that someone already gathered from past projects, and use it and put it easy, make it easy for someone to right away start using AI. So now you are seeing many organizations that are embedding AI as part of their solutions, just because it's easier, right? Now we are at that stage where you can just go ahead and try it. I think every one of us probably has already tried ChatGPT, use that to improve our writing, maybe our analysis of documents, emails, whatever. Organizations are also doing that. But now I think the vendors are eager to get scenarios where they can invest in organizations to leverage those tools in an accelerated fashion. So there are funding programs. They are super open to bring expertise, not only from services companies like Encora, but also from the vendor itself, Microsoft, Azure, AWS, GCP. They are willing to bring their expertise to think together, to brainstorm on how we can introduce that new service that they have into a use case so that we can take it to production. Because of course, that's going to be a win-win-win situation. In the industry, in the organization, they're going to have this use case that is now AI boosted, and that's a good marketing pitch. On the vendor side, they're going to have another use case to demonstrate how AI can really boost your business. And services companies like us, we're going to have the chance to really get hands-on and then deliver another project. So I think collaboration now, it's easier than ever. It's a matter of just opening those conversations, and support is going to come.
Yep. And with the shortage of staffing, being able to utilize the AI to help with monitoring or reducing costs, DevOps, the way we've talked, right? Can you go a little further into that, some of that collaboration? You mentioned Amazon Q, QuickSight, right? That was something that was born out of that type of collaboration. Do you want to explain that a little bit? Because that I found hugely interesting for where a lot of the hospitality and CRM and CRS companies are starting to concentrate.
Absolutely. I think we are all familiar with AI now because of GPT. I mean, even though it's a single company, right? I think the impact it has had in the industry, it's clear for everyone. Everyone has tried something, right? Now, every other vendor now is trying to get into that conversational experience, right? It's as easy as in natural language, just putting something that I want to learn about. This thing is going to go and bring data from many different sources that it would take for me maybe months to look at, and bring me a condensed kind of a summary, very thoughtful kind of summary, so that I can action on that very quickly. Now, services like Amazon Q, it's one manifestation of that conversational approach embedded into the AWS environment. It's the same for Copilot. If you are a Microsoft user and maybe you are willing to spend $20 or something per month, you can get Copilot embedded into your Outlook, into your Word, into your Teams, and you can get a lot of insights out of that, right? I think that's changing completely the behavior of how business is taught, how we all approach our day-to-day tasks. And from a financial perspective, I think the vendors are very aggressive in how they're trying to get to those scenarios. They are putting funding for every organization to go and just try it, right? Every vendor has their own approach, but they are very similar in the end. They are willing to provide funds for you to just explore the idea, do an assessment. Once that you, after the assessment, have narrowed down the scope and now you have a use case, they are also willing to give funding for you to enable that scenario before you actually get into the implementation. So you can do a POC, maybe an MVP, and you can demonstrate that it's going to add value to your business. And finally, when you migrate and do the whole implementation on the cloud, they could also fund you, give you funds for that. So it's really easy. They are investing not only on putting money on the table, they are investing on bringing expertise. And as you said, with the shortage of workforce to execute all that, they are relying on partners around the world to execute that. So again, it's like connecting the dots, right? The services on the vendor, partners like Encora that can execute on that, and your business ideas you're willing to evolve all together can be very powerful to deliver those new solutions.
Yep. And that optimizes the opportunity for both the customer, the colleague, and the operation, right? Because now I have a much better understanding of what the business needs commercially, and then I have a better understanding of what the business can utilize technologically, and how do I marry them up to make sure that I don't fail. And it seems doing smaller iterative projects, once you've started to outline what the modernization and transformation is going to look like, that seems to be the recipe to success, to getting to an executional phase where you are modernizing, you are getting to the cloud, you're managing your data with some governance rules and across the silos, so that again, when they engage you or organizations like ours, you're better able to define what the end outcome is going to be and what you're seeking, right? And then you could put that B word, that budget thing across it, right?
And the beauty of all of this is that the industry is recognizing that there are some fears already out there, but they are working to quickly get rid of all of them, right? So in the beginning, it was like, this is too hard. I don't know if I have the knowledge to build my model. So don't worry, we have models, we have tested them, they are ready to go. So now you can just use them. Then what about data? They have been working on ensuring that your data is not compromised when you use a specific service that is AI or Gen AI driven, so that you can rest assured that you can just go ahead and use it. No information is going to be leaked. And they keep working on that, right? So they are also hearing what's going on in the industry, in the organizations willing to adopt. They're trying to address everything to make it easy for you to go there. And now I think, and this is more of a forward-looking view that I have, a kind of a point of view. I think the next step that they're going to take is to not only provide those services isolated. Yeah, they are managed, they are easy to use, but they are isolated. We are going to start seeing in the next few months, very likely, AI boosting the services that they already have. For example, for monitoring, for observability, and introduce features that are boosted by this other technology, so that you can get those insights now as part of the service that you were already using. So it is easier for you to get best-in-class operations, best-in-class cost optimization, best-in-class migration.
That's brilliant. It's really starting to be that convergence of back office, front office, customer operation, that whole centralization of operation, and that access to data is so important in making that experience for all of the parties very fluid and transactional, yet focused and personalized. Mass customization almost, right? Where I want to appeal to the greatest number of people directly and do that in a cost-effective and efficient way, right?
Yeah.
And that visualization is so important. Sorry, Kim, I didn't.
No, I'm just, as I'm listening through this conversation, I'm visualizing, like, I think now 3 different sort of triangles of power. I don't know what we want to call them. Like, you talked earlier, we started off with the need for data, AI, and cloud to be, one of those triangles. Then we talked about, powerhouses and platforms mixed with service partners and consultation. And then you moved on to this idea of, the stakeholders being the guest, the operation, and then other stakeholders in that, and all of these sort of triangles that are working together to create this very amazing shift between technology and hospitality. I think as we wrap up I don't know if that's your take or not, but all these things that they have to kind of come together. But as we wrap up, what are some other kind of best practices, Manuel, that you might want to touch on if you haven't already, in terms of shifting toward, migrating and modernization? It seems that this is an absolute necessity. It's no longer a nice to have or something that organizations can keep putting off. What would be sort of your final words of wisdom for companies looking to better that or to get started?
I think the number one advice that I would give them is, do not be afraid of trying, right? It is so easy. I mean, it's not like it's trivial, but it's so easy in comparison to what it was years ago to try out AI, to try out Gen AI in a controlled environment with a controlled budget, that everyone should be trying to do something, right? There is so many areas where you can introduce AI. I mean, from a technical perspective, you can think, of course, on operations. You can think of DevSecOps. You can think of accelerating your migration. All of those things are technical. But if you think from a business perspective, I like to use like a personal example. I was telling David the other day, I was on my way back from a trip to India. And in the middle of that trip, I was in Canada and I got my flight canceled. And I think I just thought that this is an opportunity. The moment that you get a flight that big canceled in a place that has so many things to do, like Toronto, that could be an opportunity to deliver a great experience. Because, I mean, of course, there's going to be people getting assigned to hotels, tickets or flights to be reassigned for the next day. But then you are in a city with a lot to do, a lot of places to go and try something to eat. You can do some activities, right? If you, as part of your platform, you can just go ahead and say, hey, Manuel, here is your booking, your new booking for your ticket. This is so many things that you can do based on what we know about you. That's an opportunity on the business side that can be enabled through AI. for them to really bring some revenue to the table, right? I can take this guy and turn a situation that can be seen as bad. I mean, I'm trapped in a different country I wasn't expected to be. Now you have a bunch of things to do that you can just go ahead and do, because I'm telling you, this is your menu, right, to choose from. That's amazing, and you can start analyzing your process, your platform solution, and you can identify many different places where you can introduce AI. And it's simple. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail, because actually you can control that. And the other piece of advice would be, as you look at your modernization process, don't do it as a big bang transformation. It has to be in bite-sized kind of chunks, right? You have to identify a small thing, go ahead and try it. You don't have to get to the ideal state from day one. You can maybe just balance the innovation that you want to get with the investment you can do, so that you can justify that with very targeted outcomes. You can get buy-in from the business and move on to the next project, right? And that is going to keep going over months, even over years, because again, this is changing very rapidly. And if you get into this mindset of trying, proving value, moving to the next one, it's going to be much easier.
Agreed.
I love
Turn that frown upside down, right?
Absolutely. I cannot believe this 30 minutes has already flown by, but thank you, Manuel, for sharing your insight, your knowledge with David and I today. David, as always, it's a pleasure to be having these conversations with you. Last thing, Manuel, if viewers or someone would like to reach out to you directly to have more conversations around data on the cloud or Encora's cloud solutioning, how might they do that?
Absolutely. I mean, you can reach out to me by LinkedIn. You will find me as Manuel Cubillo. And if you want to write directly an email, manuel.cubillo@encora.com. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm happy to have any brainstorming sessions. This is exciting. And of course, I really enjoy having these kind of talks.
Thank you. We wish you nothing but more success in your journey, as you call it. It is a journey, right? Not a project. And David, we'll see you on June 13th for this would be the fifth episode of this series. That's going to be with Rodrigo Vargas, who is also with Encora, the VP of Generative AI. And we're going to be coupling that conversation with Ravni Guman, who is the head of data science and machine learning at Switchfly. Switchfly is a technology company that specializes in providing travel commerce and loyalty solutions to a variety of sectors, travel industry included. So it's going to be a great conversation then.
Yep.
So, Part 5, June 13th, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific. And until then, stay safe, everyone. Glad you made it for the full show today, David.
Me too. Thank you.
Bye.